Good morning. The holidays are over. It's time to work now. It's the first working day in the week, and welcome to Business Morning. This is where you're sure to get current and relevant business conversations right here. And I'm Amy John Mekwa, so we get right into it now. And of course, we start with what's going on in the global oil space. And what we see there is that global oil prices have inched up on expectations that the U.S. inventories will fall today, and also that crude consumers will go. Investors are awaiting a slate of reports on inflation, oil demand, and supply, which is due this week and could give the market direction. Brent crude rose 75 cents to $84.93 a barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate gained 76 cents to $80.51 a barrel. Oil prices fell yesterday, Monday, after rising for 3 straight weeks after U.S. jobs data pointed to a tight labor market, heightening expectations of another Federal Reserve rate hike that could curb oil demand. Rate hike expectations boosted the U.S. dollar index on Monday and Tuesday, which weighed on oil prices as dollar strength makes oil more expensive for other currency holders. Oil futures have climbed more than 5% since the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries and allies, including Russia, surprised the market last week with a new round of production cuts starting in May. Still talking oil now, but edible Malaysian palm oil futures rose for a second session on Tuesday after lower than expected March inventories, although weak exports in April so far capped gains. The benchmark palm oil contract for June delivery on the Bursa Malaysia Derivatives Exchange gained 11 ringgit, that's 0.29%. to 3,848 ringgit. That's about $871.51 a ton during early trade. Fundamentals so shows that India plans to set its crude palm oil reference price at $932.69 per ton for April, that's 16th to 30th period, and that's up from $898.29 in the first half of the month. And an official economic coordinating ministry disclosed that. Malaysia's palm oil inventories at the end of March plunged 21.08% from the previous month to 1.67 million tons as exports surged. And that was from yesterday, Monday. Well, let's leave oil now and go to commodities. Chicago wheat futures gained more ground on Tuesday, with prices supported by the deteriorating condition of the United States winter crop and Russia's threats to bypass an unbrokered grain deal. Corn rose as wet weather delayed U.S. planting, although forecasts of warm and dry conditions could boost field work in the days ahead. Russia has warned of risks of the Black Sea grain deal and may quit the safe transit. That's according to Ukrainian grain shipment commodities research. There's been very little rain for winter wheat crop in Kansas over the past week. And in the United States, Washington, D.C., to be precise, global and financial leaders are converging there for this year's IMF World Bank spring meetings. And a major concern this year is how to build resilience in the face of slowing economic growth. Ahead of the official release of the World Economic Outlook that's due today, leaders of the Bretton Woods institutions share their thoughts on how to reshape development globally.
Central banks do have a preoccupation to bring inflation down, and it is paramount because without price stability, there is no sound foundation for investments and for growth. Their job has become more complicated because of the exposure of vulnerabilities in the financial sector. That means attention has to be paid to financial stability. Fortunately, they have different tools they can apply to deal with these two different problems. They can fight inflation by keeping interest rates higher for longer, and they can provide targeted liquidity should there be a need to bring down risks to financial stability.
So I think there's an urgency to the policy changes. Now, I want to inquire on one specific area. As the central banks raise interest rates, they've described it as a goal of reducing demand within the economy. I think there really has to be much more awareness that the long-term solution is through much greater supply, and that means short-term financing for small businesses, for medium-sized businesses.
Oh, the meeting just started, well, yesterday. Today is a major one. Yesterday were more of greetings and, those opening of cotton. So we'll bring you a whole lot more of what's going on there at Washington, D.C., the spring meeting. And, decision makers are there, central bankers are there, and a whole lot of important persons. So trust us here. We'll bring you all the details here on Channels Television. For now, there's a company which prides itself as a reward tech company that they help businesses optimize sales and customer loyalty investments through its universal gamification of gains and consumer expenditure. The CashToken is an electronic reward and celebratory gift commodity. Connects patronage or gift in any part of the nation or economy to an opportunity for life-changing cash rewards and guaranteed cash for financial inclusion in the form of insurance, pension, and savings. To tell us more about this, we have Mr. Lai Labode. He's the Chief Executive Officer of CashToken Rewards Africa in the studio. Good morning, Mr. Labode. Thank you. Good morning. So I know that a lot of Nigerians, when they hear rewards and then hear cash, your ear tingles.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Everybody needs an extra cash at this time. What's this about?
Okay, first of all, thank you for having me.
Good to have you.
We decided a few years ago to establish a new generation of socially smart business models where we're able to not just only help to increase the velocity of economic activities in the country, but how to better the personal economies of the people of any country, of course, starting from Nigeria. So essentially, our business is a cash reward as a service, where we connect every patronage in a nation's economy to rewards that can potentially change their lives. We have been able to do this very well. And I can say today that if you look at some of the best results in the country in 2022, talking about patronage of some of the one of the biggest networks in Africa, you see that CashToken Africa has been a part of that, where every time you patronize or perform to a business, they give you what is called a cash token, giving you instant cash in your wallet and also putting you into a weekly national consumer draw, which is unprecedented, by the way. So every time you get a cash token because you performed and helped a Nigerian business grow, they have rewarded you with cash instantly in your cash to reward wallet. And two, you get a ticket into a weekly national consumer draw for 5,000 naira to 100 million naira. So I can say this very succinctly, that we are one of the very few companies today in Africa that ensures that people become millionaires every other week because they have made purchases and impacted the Nigerian economy, of course.
So while you're spending money, you're supposed to be rewarded for that. But give us an example of some of those products or services, or better still, paint a picture of how it works, okay. Because you're talking of wallet. It means an individual must have created that wallet. There are processes to doing that and connecting it to the service or products that, you can get rewarded for.
It gets even simpler because, the genius is in the simplicity. You don't even need to have created the wallet. All you needed to do is to have patronized the partner. So I'll give you an example of one of our partners, and a very interesting partner, brilliant partner at that, MTN Nigeria. If you patronize MTN has already set business objectives that they want, right? And they also want to reward your loyalty at the same time. So MTN wants you to spend 1,500 naira. Maybe now you're spending 1,000 naira, right? And they promise you that if you do that, if you stay loyal to the network, we will reward you with a cash token. Now, you have met the objective. So you get an SMS from MTN telling you that you have been rewarded with a cash token, your instant cash in your cash token wallet, which is a reward wallet. It's not a regular bank wallet. It's a reward wallet. We'll put in the cash in there. And 2, you also get a ticket into the weekly National Consumer Draw. So on a Friday night, Shlalale Friday, we'll call it. You know, you have just won 10 million naira because of your patronage. So we do that draw every week. Basically, we bring all the money from all the partners into a single pot, and we do a draw every Friday. That's what it is. So it's as simple as that. You patronize the partner, you get the CashToken reward, get instant cash, and also get into the weekly draw where we make millionaires every other week.
So we'll get to the draw in just a moment,
Yes.
but at these days where it seems technology is really exposed
Yes.
and it's being abused, you know,
Yes.
so you sometimes, you know, all those fraudsters, they send messages. So a lot of people do not pay attention to, oh, you have just won,
Absolutely.
especially when I did not intentionally apply for
Absolutely.
something. So how do you get past that stage?
Okay, to start with, consumer education is very important. You know, there's a lot of fraud around. Because, you know, we understand the dynamics of all of this. So you have the mobile network, for example, in the case of MTN and the other networks that are partners. They educate their customers that we have started this program where we're rewarding you with the cash tokens. That prepares your mind. And 2, when you win, we also reach out to you. So you have people reaching out to you from the mobile network itself, and of course, CashToken Africa. So that education is important, that keeps on going on. And part of what we have done also is that we showcase those winners on television. You know, Nigerians want to see, Nigerians want to touch who won, you know, and there's quite a bit of that going on. We have thousands and thousands of winners across the country. There's no part of the country today that we have not touched where people have not actually won money, you know, and this is cash. You know, Nigerians don't understand points, and you want to see cash, they know what to do with their cash. And they also want cash that is unrestricted. So imagine yourself now, the reward wallet that you have, your universal reward wallet, which is unprecedented, is for all businesses. So whether you're entering Uber, whether you're buying food, you're buying groceries, you're making calls, you're buying electricity, you have the same reward wallet. And part of what we're pushing today, and let me say, maybe let it be the first to come out on channels, that the National Lottery Regulatory Commission has just signed a partnership that perhaps will become the first in Africa for Nigeria to establish a national reward for all residents, citizens, and visitors, where every time you patronize a business in Nigeria, we have just signed that, you know, and of course the partnership will span an initial period of 10 years. You know, it is the first time in Africa where we're actually able to help, you know, increase the velocity of economic activities and better the personal economies of Nigeria, and then raise new monies for social impact. So when we're saying socially smart business model, it is a marriage of successful enterprises and social development. So the more money we make, the more direct impact on the people. And this is not based on charity, which is the genius, really. You know, so it is that the businesses that are offering you the cash token rewards in the first place are not doing it for free. They're making sure you're patronizing them, impacting the economy in a good way. Government can get taxes. And 2, those winners that will create every other, they're also creating jobs. We have beautiful stories. We're currently doing a documentary, which we'll be sharing with Nigerians to actually see, or Africans to see, how businesses are actually impacting people while making money. And that's what we're encouraging, that Africa needs a new generation of socially smart business models that are not dependent on charity. So the brilliance here is that we're not doing charity, meanwhile we're impacting life sustainably every other time. And you can imagine how many billions we're able to do every year, impacting people directly, creating new jobs across the country.
And you are also in business.
Oh, absolutely.
CashToken is also in business.
Absolutely. It's important that we make money also. We need to be
exactly, because I mean, if that is shrouded in secrecy, it means there's something wrong somewhere. And then that, you could lose the trust of the people you're trying to...
We make money, and we also try to show that, you know, it's important to make money and be able to impact people's lives. And the only way to sustain it is not to build it around charity. Build it around, connect the interests of the people, the consumers. It's a new era of hyper-consumer centricity. The power is truly with the consumers. If you impact them positively, they will come to you. You know, before, most businesses will give you points and insist that you come and spend it in their place. You know, the psychology, the new research shows that people want to be loyal in a place where their rewards are not restricted. They will come back. They know where to come back to, where there is unrestricted cash for them. And that's part of what we're training many businesses to actually be able to go to the next level, where a consumer has a single cash reward wallet across so many businesses, and that is the next generation. You see that when you say the future is the gamification of sales and reward, the power is really with the customer. But don't forget, no matter how good the reward is, if you're providing services that are not good enough, the customer wants services first before the reward. So it's a
who are you? I know you mentioned MTN.
Yes.
Who are the other partners?
All mobile networks are currently giving out cash tokens. We're also currently partnered with MasterCard. Actually, we have a sub-Saharan project across Africa. It's called, it is strictly for MasterCard customers, mydealzone.africa. So when a MasterCard customer uses their card on that platform, they will get cash tokens for it, and that's actually across Africa. Today, we've gained entry into Kenya, we've gained entry into Ghana, we've gained entry into Cote d'Ivoire, and of course, we're looking to Tanzania, Uganda now, and of course, South Africa. So there's quite a bit ongoing. Let me also announce here to you that today we have a fresh $100 million from GEM in the US. We have a commitment for that. And of course, our access to the money is ongoing as we speak, as we're pushing to list on the Nigerian Stock Exchange and, of course, the New York Stock Exchange.
Yeah, listing will really boost the integrity and credibility around.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of individuals, they look out for that to see for the sustainability of the company. But you mentioned the draw, which is the ultimate, because, if I'm winning money, then I want to know when and how I'll be able to access it.
Absolutely. So what we have done is also to keep it very simple. So we have a code for all our customers. It's a single code. It is *6700#. If you go there, you can access your money on your own. You don't need to talk to me. If you dial the code, you can go to your wallet and move your money to any bank in Nigeria. We've already done that. If you want more, there are vendors there. If you buy airtime from them, they will give you cash tokens. If you buy electricity from them, they will give you cash tokens. So that code is singular for all businesses. So even if all of the business, and not even when all of the Nigerian businesses get on this, and all will eventually do that, it's the same code that you have to dial to actually access your money. But let me also add that when we started this out, we had to hire Deloitte to actually audit the system. Hired Alexander Forbes to actually monitor the draws to ensure that, yes, there is credibility all of the time. Right now, we're going to another level where we're having multiple auditors, so that any of the partners can actually talk to the auditors instead of talking to us. Trust is an essential part of what we're selling here. And of course, the impact on the Nigerian people and African people is such a big one on our minds. Yeah,
and CashToken seems to be talking with so much confidence like there's no competition.
Oh, so let me say this. One of the things that we have been able to do very well is the creative alignment of interests. So we have seen businesses who consider those competition until we engage with them to say, you know what, if you are currently providing some sort of reward to any business in Nigeria or Africa, we're actually able to help you optimize the value, right? So what you already have today, we can add cash tokens to you to optimize it. And that's what we're doing. So we do a lot of co-opetition than trying to just compete. Is there competition? Anybody that takes a piece of your market is supposed to be competition. But we're redefining that space that going forward, we can actually work much more together, and create much more value for customers and ourselves. That's our partners and, of course, our own business and our shareholders, of course.
So at the end of the day now, your partners are other businesses and providers of services, but of course the ultimate target are the customers, the consumers themselves. Always. And you say they can access their wallet through, could you say that again?
*6700#. But let me also add this, right? Our engagements are also ongoing with countries. About 2 weeks ago, I was in Kenya, with His Royal Majesty Oni of Ife, and we met with the President Ruto, we engaged with him on the need to establish such rewards for Kenya, where we have the Kenyans as local partners, running the show, where there can be direct impact on the people of Kenya, generate new revenues for projects. So we're taking this across Africa, and that's why the investment of $100 million in our company at this time is very strategic. And of course, beyond Africa itself, CashToken itself is going across the world. We have a base in the UK as we speak. That's going to be our connection to the rest of the world as it is. And we hope that before the year runs out, we'll see that business kick off. Also in the United
States. And we hope we'll have a lot of testifiers of your millions.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Lai Labode, CEO of CashToken Rewards Africa.
Yes.
Wish you the very best in your journey around the world.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. So that's how you can make some money from the perspective of CashToken. Now, let's talk about the consumer goods sector. So how you can spend your money, I guess. That would be it now. Because the consumer sectors, there are news of some or a major consumer goods producing company closing down some of its arms, which produces those household items that you do use because of macroeconomic impacts. So what will this mean to you? What will it mean to your household if you cannot access those detergent and toilet soap, which is sometimes you take for granted. We have the partner and head commercial practice group at Anderson, Nigeria, Mr. Chinedu Ezomike, joining us from Canada. Mr. Ezomike, good morning. Thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you very much. Okay. Thanks for having me.
Good to have you. So, should we be worried, or is this just a one-off thing where we hear a major company closing down an arm that produces those household item detergent and toilet soap? And I know there's competition, and people do have preferred brands, but you can always switch. But should we be worried, or do you see this spreading, or this is just for this particular company?
Okay, thanks so much. The first thing to note is that the company we're talking about, producers of Omo and Lipton and Blue Band and all that, they have been a household name, like you said. Some of us grew up knowing these products, as in the house. Unilever used to be Lever Brothers. So growing up, we knew them. Now they are going through analysis of their product portfolio, and they are systematically shutting down those products who have not met certain growth strategies or profitability strategies. It's a normal thing that companies do, but what is driving it is the harsh business environment. And yes, we should be a bit worried because they're not the only ones doing this. I mean, we've seen a trend of companies upping and leaving the economy. It is never a good thing when a company leaves Nigeria. We have high unemployment rates. We have high poverty rates. So when companies who are supposed to provide employment are leaving or shutting down certain aspects of businesses, it's never good for the economies. But the companies themselves have to survive. It's a product portfolio review, and 2017, I think, Blue Band was exited or sold. 2021, it was Lipton. Now, 2023, we're having Omo, Sunlight, Lux. These are family brands that we are all know. So yes, is a trend, but it is driven by the harsh economic environment. But the interest rates have been high. Foreign exchange challenges that companies can't even access Forex to import their raw materials. For some reason, a few years ago, we had the security challenges, Boko Haram and all that, but now expanded from 3 states, more than about 10 states are having security challenges now. And these are markets that these companies are able to access and sell their products. When you have such huge security challenges, they are shut out from those markets. So these things will definitely impact the level of growth, level of projections, and level of profitability for some of these companies and for these products. So I hope that I don't thought to give like a general view of what is really going on.
Yeah.
The only good news, of course, is that this government is coming to an end, and every economist will tell you that we have taken some bad economic decisions under this past government. We're hoping that as we go into a new era, maybe, just maybe, we'll start seeing some light at the end of the tunnel.
When you said only good news, I thought you were going to say, for instance, necessity is the mother of invention. So we did see some businesses, especially SMEs, make some adjustment, especially during COVID, when they couldn't import some of their raw materials. They started looking inwards for local or domestic raw materials. Do you see this opening a new door? Maybe we'll have new entrants into the consumer sector, and they will start maybe using more of local materials, and it will reduce the need or the demand for foreign exchange?
I mean, definitely, when there are challenges, there are always opportunities for innovation. And we have a lot of SMEs who are, so if you take an Omo, for example, detergents, there are many SMEs doing all kinds of products, to close the gap. So yes, there will be opportunities for innovation, there will be opportunities for adapt, there will be opportunities to grow other products. But the same challenges that are forcing Unilever to shut down these products, I mean, every other business will face those challenges. The question is who is able to innovate more and who is able to adapt more. Because as people get poorer, their purchasing power decreases. They can't afford what they used to afford. So even though the cost of business is rising, it is difficult to pass those costs to the customers. So the question is how will companies be able to manage their costs such that they're still able to make profit even though they can't increase their prices? So that cost management becomes the defining factor, essentially the strategy of cost leadership. Some SMEs might be able to cope, some big companies might just find it challenging because there are also standards you can't go below. So definitely there are opportunities for innovation, but every business in this sector is really struggling.
Yeah. Any strategies you think can sustain any business in that sector? I know you talked about cutting costs.
Yeah, cost management becomes key, and it's not just in Nigeria, right? This is a global issue now. I mean, I'm sure you've heard about all the companies either retrenching or right sizing, like they will say. Even big blue chips, companies in the US, sacking so many workers because everybody's looking for how to survive. Of course, inflation has been high for some months now, and that has driven up the interest rates in a bid to push down inflation. But once interest rate goes up, the cost of borrowing for companies goes up. So they're looking for somewhere else to cut the costs. So cost management becomes, a critical aspect of what company needs to do. But like I also talked about, sourcing locally. If it's for the products who that are easy to source locally, yes, definitely. But what Unilever is also doing is a key part of the strategy. So you're basically reviewing your portfolio, looking at products that are not as profitable as they used to be. Because typically when you look at a product life cycle, right, by the time a product matures, that's actually the highest it can be. But over time, it starts declining. And as the profitability declines, you can rebrand, you can remarket and all that. But once you're not able to get that profitability up, it becomes the time to retire that product. So that's exactly what they're doing. So what they're doing is part of those strategies to survive in the business.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Chinedu Ezomike, a partner and head commercial practice group at Anderson, Nigeria, for joining us. We hope we'll not miss those brands too much.
Definitely, but time goes on. But I'm also hoping that there will be new products coming in to replace them, because the brand is so sad because those brands, I mean, like an Omo has been around for more than 60 years. At a point, every detergent was called Omo, right? And now they're leaving the market. So yeah, it's sad.
It's heartbreaking.
It is. It is.
All right, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you very much.
All right, heartbreaking there, but let's take a break now. When we come back, we'll delve closer or deeper into the commodity space. Just stay with us. Welcome back. It's commodities time now, and we did tell you earlier about oil prices, how Brent is up 75 cents to $84.93 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate crude also gained 76 cents to $80.51 a barrel, just after it dropped yesterday. So to tell us the driving factors, we have in the studio here economist of Financial Derivatives Company, Mr. Clement Igbanugo, joining us here. Good morning, Mr. Igbanugo. Thank you for your time this morning.
Good morning. Thank you.
So the price of oil, today we hear, Russia is cutting. Tomorrow we hear OPEC Plus is cutting. Next tomorrow we hear U.S. crude inventories is tight, and it just keeps going. It seems unpredictable.
Yeah, sure. That's what we're going to be seeing throughout this quarter. Volatile
throughout
oil
this
price.
New quarter, the second quarter.
The Q2. Of course, OPEC adding 1.7 million barrels per day cut to the earlier 2
That's
million barrels.
More than 2 million now.
That's now 3.7 million barrels cut, and that jumped the oil price to, because in March, oil price went to a low of 70.6.
Yes, that we're afraid that it was going to hit our benchmark.
Exactly. But of course, we are also going to see OPEC is a cartel. And primarily what a cartel does is to push up price to where it wants it to be. And last year, Saudi Arabia doubled their oil earnings to about $326 billion. And they have set new dreams of what to do with windfalls and all that. So we're going to see that play out. But of course...
the U.S. is not happy about that.
The U.S. is not happy about that. But of course, the overriding factor will be the economic fundamentals. And of course, World Bank just revised their growth outlook upwardly to 2%, and that's the indication that the earlier expected recession may not actually materialize, and that we are seeing a renewed demand from China, from in fact the rest of Asia. So we see that OPEC may take the oil price to the north of $100.
You think we'll get there?
To the north, you may not hit it. To the north, you may not hit it.
Because there's always something to pull it down, and
Exactly, because it's demand-supply dynamics. But with strong demand from emerging markets this year, with strong and more better growth outlook in emerging markets and developing markets, I think we're going to see oil price rally.
What does it do for us in Nigeria now that we are planning subsidy removal?
That's a good thing to talk about. But of course, Nigeria sometimes is a different story and a different ball game. Because when I said Saudi Arabia doubled their oil earning, don't forget also that Angola gained 43% last year because of the windfall, but we lost. Nigeria
and I think our last month production also reduced.
It reduced, exactly. So Nigeria oil production, oil revenue to the FGN was declined by 43% last year. That's compared to 2021.
When other countries
are...
That's a contradiction.
You see that contradiction. So, but we've seen improvement in oil production.
After the oil theft
the oil theft. So government is making some effort to ensure that they improve that oil production. And we're going to see...
But what caused the last month's drop in our production? Do you know?
No, of course, you know that these things are not as seamless as we think. It's a process, and so we're going to have that. The projection this year is that the total oil production, both crude and gas, will not exceed 1.4. So we're not going to see a massive
1.5
on average.
Yeah.
So we're not going to see that massive increase in production, because there are a lot of impediments to production from the deep seas and all of that, and we very much believe that government is committed to improving because oil underperformed its budgeted revenue expectation by 71% last year. So how are we going to fund budget this year with debt climbing and all of that? So government is committed to ensure that they have to do whatever they will do to improve the oil price. Look at gas prices are plunging to, I think as at this morning, 2.17 or 16. And it touched 1.97 this year, in February, and gas is almost about 12% of our entire export revenue. So there must be that commitment to shore up oil production to ensure that we benefit from the windfall.
And then we'll see subsidy somewhere in between. We'll see subsidy somewhere in between.
And, with all the efforts to take it up.
Okay.
Let's see what happens. It needs commitment. Subsidy is, last year, we spent 4.39 trillion on subsidy. And you know what that means? Expenditure on infrastructure. Productive infrastructure, expenditure on welfare,
personnel allowances,
so we need to, and government is saying they are committed to remove subsidy, but that is, when you talk about the economics of subsidy and all of that, the politics of subsidy is something else. This morning, yesterday, somebody was saying, we are hearing that government want to remove subsidy. Let them remove it. We are here now. We're going to see what. So you see all of those reactions, but what we expect from government is, let's know what the plan is. If you're going to remove something, what are you going to do with the money?
They have now gotten $800 million from the World Bank for palliative.
But that's not a flow. That's just a one-off. And that one-off is just like 5,000 per the 50 million household that you are targeting. So what happens after that? So there must be a commitment. If we take out 4 trillion, how are we going to spend it? Because that trust has to be there. The people have to believe what government want to do. If you don't have a program and you just wake up and announce you have removed subsidy, it may be more chaotic. So look at what is happening in Kenya. So there must be a program. Is it going to be gradual? What percentage are we going to start with? What are we going to do with the gains to the household, to the firms and all of that? So that program must be well communicated to the people to ensure that there's no crisis.
And May is just around the corner.
Just around, and we're
in April.
So
that's in April. That's May next door.
And we don't know clearly what the plans are. So but we believe that government will live up to that expectation.
Well, as the media, I guess all we can do is keep talking about. Just before we let you go, anything interesting happening with the commodities?
This, of course, the outlook for commodities for this quarter, we do not expect so much in terms of price spike. But we're seeing the price of sugar spiking because of increase in the price of oil. You know, people are now shifting ethanol production and all of that, and that is increasing demand for sugar. And when that happens, the price of sugar begins to spike, and that is negative for Nigeria because we import sugar. So, but for most commodities, we expect that the price will remain much more within the bands for the rest of the quarter.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Clement Igbanugo, economist with Financial Derivatives Company. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, let's move to the markets now. Equities markets is what we're focusing in today. As we know, today is the first trading day since last week. First day the market has been resting. But I wonder how the market is doing today. We'll do that at the end of the trading today. But now let's see what to expect from trading at the equities market today. All right, but before we do that, let's just take a breather and then we'll be back to take our guests in the markets. Welcome back, and we head straight to the market now. We have our guest, Peter Abe, trader with IBTC Stockbrokers, joining us to tell us expectations, especially look at some of those counters, the sectors. Hi, Peter. Good morning. So, I mean, you guys have rested. You had your rest on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. It's time to work for your money, Peter. How's the market looking at this time?
Well, it's still quiet. I mean, you expect investors to really look at how the markets closed last week, and this week we also expect that quiet sentiment to start the market, but we expect it to pick up as the week goes on.
Well, last week, the market left a bitter taste in our mouths. You know, it was 4 days of red all through, and then we saw a drop to, I think, 53,000 points. Do we have an idea what's driving it, or investors were just preparing for the holidays?
Well, like you mentioned, all the indices were in red, except for insurance sector that gained last week. If you look at the counters, the names that traded, that accounted for the loss, I think Airtel is notably one of them, lost 10% last week, which, I mean, being the most capitalized in the market, definitely will affect the ASI. Outside that, just a few small cap names traded in the market. And don't let us also forget, like in the market last week, 2 names were marked down for dividend last week. Stanbic, IBTC, and Custodian. Definitely all these names will also affect our market. ASI would have closed last week. So the sentiments are still there, still quite bearish, and everybody's really looking forward to more around the economy generally on how to go about it in the market.
Do investors really take advantage, and when we see a drop in the market and a drop in prices of stocks, do they really take advantage of that opportunity to get on board? Or, I mean, is it still the same cycle of the same investors coming round? Do we have new entrants into the market?
Well, I'm not too sure what you mean by new entrants. Is this the stock or the investors? But when you look at it, market is a cycle. We always have times when prices will be high and then people will take, investors will take profits. That is when markets, they will sell down. And at some point, investors will come in. So cycles will always continue. And like you mentioned, there may be some one or two news or information that may trickle into markets that can also trigger activities in the market. But if you look at it over the past few weeks, we saw some corporate names. They rolled out their 2022 financial year numbers, which also affected the way activities, the Nigerian Stock Exchange traded. So information cycles, those are the things that affect the markets majorly.
All right, we'll follow that market and find out how it closed today. And we do hope that gives us a little bit of good taste at the end of trading today. Thank you so much, Peter Abbey with Stanbic IBTC Stockbrokers. All right. So now let's move to London, and Good Friday may be over, but the agreement is still a major conversation in the United Kingdom, as we know that the President of the United States of America should be in the UK today to meet with Prime Minister there, Rishi Sunak. Juliana has been talking about this since yesterday, but today is the D-Day, so I'm sure she has more information for us. Hi, Juliana. Good morning, and I see you working from home again today. The President's visit has kept you at home.
I'll blame the 3 children for that, Innie. They're under the table somewhere.
They could pop up any of these minutes.
But no, back to what you were saying about the Good Friday Agreement, I've got to say it's really important to underscore just how important this trip is by US President Joe Biden to the United Kingdom later today. Air Force One will touch down in Belfast, I believe, about 8 p.m., though the information is sketchy. Why is it sketchy? Because MI5, the intelligence service here in this country, have actually upgraded the terrorism threat from Northern Ireland from moderate to severe. There have been a spate of attacks over the past couple of weeks, including during the Easter bank holiday weekend. So they are being very, very cautious with letting us know exactly what the US President Joe Biden will be doing over the next 4 days. He will be on the island of Ireland. Of course, the top of that, Northern Ireland, is part of the United Kingdom, and the south is part of Europe. That is the Republic of Ireland, and the tensions, I believe it was called the Troubles, that existed prior to the Good Friday Agreement, which was brokered by the former Prime Minister Tony Blair and the former US President Bill Clinton. Over 3,500 people were killed because unionists believe that the island of Ireland should remain in the United Kingdom, whereas Republicans believe that the northern part of the island should be within the island. It has caused lots of misery. And for several years, even after the Good Friday Agreement, Innie, it was seen as some sort of unending crisis. But I believe since Rishi Sunak has taken over the keys of number 10, there does appear to at least be a solution in sight. So that's what Joe Biden will be commemorating over the next 4 days. I believe a bilateral meeting, which will be televised, will take place tomorrow. The president will also be delivering some remarks at Ulster University in Belfast, which is a pretty big university there. He will then fly down to the south, where he will meet the Irish Taoiseach, Leo Varadkar, as well as the Irish President Michael Higgins. Now, of course, we know that this is going to be formal, of course, but it's also going to be pretty personal and family. The US President has always spoken about his Irish ancestry and his roots, and even this morning, the White House have delivered a statement saying literally that this meeting is to foster peace and prosperity. However, we know that it is not easy to do, which is why I think Sir Tony Blair has written an open letter to the US president this morning, saying, tread with caution, that this is a very complex and complicated political situation in Ireland. In fact, Stormont, which is where power sharing is agreed amongst the 5 main political parties, they haven't sat in Parliament for over a year. They're locked in a fierce debate. And this is all about Brexit. And that's where the business side comes into place, Innie, because Brexit has caused so many issues on the island of Ireland, which is why the DUP, the Northern Ireland Party, are not sitting in the power sharing agreement at the moment. They feel they have been completely cut off by the rest of the United Kingdom, and it's making matters and tension worse on the border, the non-existent border, but let's say the invisible line between the north and the south. So lots of complications. Expect lots of pomp and ceremony, as we would expect with the arsenal that Joe Biden will arrive with. But yes, it's a significant story and something we will certainly be keeping our eyes on.
Yeah, we sure will. And then briefly, Juliana, household cutting on groceries for television subscription. I don't know. Please tell me about that.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Goodness me. You said briefly, so I won't list the amount of subscriptions I have to keep my girls entertained here. But yes, Barclaycard have released transaction data for the month of March. Barclaycard have looked through millions of consumer transactions, and they've shown that year on year, consumer transaction has grown 4%. As part of that 4%, there's been 7.1% growth on groceries. 53% of consumers are cutting back on luxury one-off goods. We know they would be doing that because the cost of living is so high. CPI currently at 10.4%. But alas, within the data, they did discover that there has been a 4.1% increase on digital subscriptions. Perhaps that's the way people in Britain are soothing themselves from a hard day of work, going through their subscriptions, trying to find a decent series in it.
All right. I believe you, Juliana. So keep the girls busy, Juliana. We'll talk to you at 1:30.
Talk to you then.
All right, now, so let's go to the other market now, which is crypto market. I don't know if they are cutting down on their subscription there or they're doing more of the groceries. Oh, Laddie's looking... Laddie, I'm getting envious of this crypto market.
Yes, it's looking really good.
It's really pumping.
A lot of greed.
And I heard one great news that was while men sleep, Bitcoin was doing some things.
Making money for, some people, 30K, new level broken.
Can you bid that? Yesterday when we were having this conversation, I think it was 27, 28.
Yeah, exactly. And we're looking for direction at that time.
Yeah, and we're talking about the Easter egg. We're looking for an Easter egg.
Yeah, and that whole Easter catalyst thing, I guess it's happening now as we speak. And talking about greed there, we see 68 points, almost nearing that 70 points. Extreme greed, I guess that's what's in view, at this time next. Now that we're in greed, talking about the sentiment in the market. If we look at the prices of the top cryptocurrencies, there we see Bitcoin there, obviously breaking that 30K level. Ethereum, $1,916. XRP, 52 cents. Cardano, 40 cents. All, breaking new levels this morning. Let's bring in Gilbert Jopata now, financial market analyst. Hello, Gilbert. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Ladi.
Yeah, so quite a big climb there we're seeing for Bitcoin. They're breaking that 30K level today. What is driving that? Is it the Easter catalyst?
Okay, so the 30K BTC is the price we've been waiting for. And there are a couple of factors responsible for this kind of price surge. I will say the Fed's pivoting from aggressive rate hike, macroeconomics, and also elements of Bitcoin being oversold. We also had the short sellers getting burnt earlier this year, and then the banking sector looking shaky and the Fed's looking for a soft landing. The bulk of the bear market is already over, and today's present price is actually the resistance of last year, about last year June's bear market. So I expect the bulls to make a stance from here to about 32K zone. While technically there may be a retracement, but if 30K holds, the FOMO right here will be too strong to resist, and this could even likely lead us into a market capitulation from here.
What do you think is next? I'm looking at price action for Bitcoin.
Okay, more from a chart perspective. I expect a stand from about this 30K range to about 32K. Technically, the market will look for more like a retest to the downside a bit. But then, if 30K holds, yeah, just right here, the FOMO will be too strong. Many persons won't be able to resist it, and if this holds, the market will capitulate, and then we may begin a market price continuation from here to the upside.
Definitely looking at Ethereum now, we know they have that big upgrade coming up, the Shanghai upgrade. What's that going to do with price?
Oh, this is another very interesting thing for the Ethereum ecosystem. You know, the Shanghai upgrade is part of the merge, and this is actually necessary for the ecosystem sustainability development after the
Hello, Gilbert.
Move from the proof of work to the proof of stake. While this is yes, I'm with you.
Yeah, sorry, we had some network signal issues there, but you can carry on.
Okay, so while this event is bullish for the Ethereum ecosystem, those who actually stake Ethereum during the merge will have the ability to unstake their Ethereum on Wednesday. This means that over 1 million Ethereum staking rewards will be claimable. And this could actually be sold because a couple of persons will want to take profits. Some persons may want to sell also for tax reasons. So this event is actually bearish for Ethereum just on the short term, but it's actually bullish on the long term because many persons who are coming into the ecosystem, especially those who will be coming from the traditional market, newbies, and those who want to take advantage of more of a cash flow, will push into the Ethereum ecosystem to take advantage of this. So long term bullish, but for this event, I'm actually bearish because it could lead to some selling from those who would like to unstake the Ethereum.
Right, and we'll definitely watch out for how that impacts altcoins going forward. Thank you so much, Gilbert Jopata, financial market analyst.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. So top gainers now, we see Randa token topping the counter up 18.42% at $1.54. The China token there, CFX, also up 14.95%. And we see Solana there 8.30% up. So it's really not looking bad for this market now. We see it's the top losers very lean, 1.4%. That's the top loser. The ton coin there leading the counter for the losers counter. So it's not looking bad. It's definitely everyone's still looking out for that CPI data for March in the US. That's definitely going to influence what's going to happen next, with these prices and most of those global markets. So
yeah, we're still looking for that 100,000 Bitcoin.
100,000. Wow. I don't know if Easter can do that.
Don't be afraid. It can happen, Laddie.
Wow.
All right, Laddie, thank you so much. See you at 1:30 for Business Incorporated. That's it on the program today. Please do join Laddie at 1:30. We'll bring you updates from the world of business. Work has begun, so I'm sure you're out there trying to make the most of the day. We'll do this again tomorrow, God's grace. I'm Yini John Mekwa.